Well, there you go. Well, this is a bit of an unusual start to the show, isn't it? But then again,
it was my nutty suggestion, and it got slightly complicated because I'm talking about Neil Young, and Phil Dave is hearing Neil Diamond, and therefore can't find the track. Oh, Ohio, man, it's hard just staying alive.
Well, frankly, I think this is better. Oh dear. Anyway, yes. Hello, everyone. Yeah,
what a farce.
This is Men's Radio Station on Wednesday, the 4th of November, 2020. What a day.
What a day. Look at the muck in this place. Afternoon, boys. Ramsey Y. Musalam. Paul Claridge. Howdy, y'all. You up a ladder? You putting on that aluminum siding?
Oh, please. I hate the way they say
aluminum siding. Part of my act, when I go to America, should I ever go again, is I say, why do you call it herbs? I do this whole shtick, which doesn't work in England, but it works in California. I say, why do you call it herbs? Because it's herbs with an H. It's not herbs. I say, you don't walk down the street going, oh no, I've got an heart attack. Take me to the hospital. Well, there you go. They like it. I guess you had to be there.
Yeah, well, quite.
Santa Monica. This is going to get rough. There's I've got friends of mine. I don't know about you, Phil, but I got friends of mine going, I'm so shocked. What? Have you been on the International Space Station with no Wi-Fi signal? How could you be shocked at any of this? This is so freaking predictable. It's like the most boring book written by an author who just
do you know what really annoys me is it's more about the head in the sand. That's what I find irritating. So when people say that they have they're shocked by this, it was exactly the same with Britain's departure from the European Union. Oh my God, I can't believe it. In fact, I'll never ever forget with when we were voting for whether or not we should stay or whether or not we should leave the European Union. And the day before, one of my colleagues where I was then working said to another colleague, I think we've got this. I think we're okay. And he was obviously on the Remain side. I think we're going to be okay. I just thought, you're a lunatic. You've absolutely you work in journalism and you work in an industry where you're supposed to have your finger on the pulse of society of what is actually going on. And you genuinely believe that it's all in the clear.
Phil, the thing is, and I think a lot of people feel like this. Ramsey, what a predictable cluster. Yeah. Of course it is. Cluster flip.
Yeah.
Ramsey couldn't agree with you more. Beautifully put. Here's the thing.
Well, interestingly,
but in journalism, and I'm not a journalist. Phil is much more of a journalist than I am. I am not a journalist. I've never been a journalist. I've never wanted to be a journalist. I've always wanted to be, a writer and a broadcaster. I'm not a journalist.
I'm not either.
But you're much more journalistic than I am. I don't pretend to be a journalist.
Fine, I have journalistic.
Accept the compliment. There is the world of difference, and this is why things have got so effed up. It's because there's a world of difference between reporting on the news and making the news what you want it to be. That's not journalism. That's just like, well, I'm going to put my political viewpoint, and that's how I see the world. No, that's not reporting. That is putting it through your filter, putting it through your prism, putting it through your requirements.
It is absolutely unbelievable, seriously, sort of what is going on in the world of media. And actually, there was a call this morning on one of the programs I was working on who summed it up beautifully, where this chap's phoned in to say, once again, the British media have really just decided to create the headlines to suit their own agenda. So all the flipping way through, they were saying, oh, it's a Biden victory. It's no problem. He's going to get in easily. I never, genuinely, whether you believe this or not, and I'm not being a bit of a hindsight person here, because I promise you, I've said this for ages, I never thought it was a given that Biden...
It's never a given. And I can back Phil up with that. And Phil and I talk about this a lot off air, and, it is what it is. Now, let me I just want to make something clear, and I just really want to put this line in the sand. Ed, well, come on, Ed. That's like saying I'm never going to go to Europe again. It's ridiculous. You've got 360 million people there. Every state is its own nation. You can't just say you're never going to go to America again. That's ridiculous. Why would you not? Why would you not go to America again? It's a fabulous country.
Oh, good Lord.
Ramsey, I've been 42 times and no plans to visit again. Great. I'll be able to sit down in my favorite restaurants and not queue. Kind of how I look at it.
Ramsey, it's not really a surprise you've got no plans to go again. You're probably
You've
bored.
been 42 times already.
It is.
What were you doing there, Ramsey? I've no idea what you actually do in real life. Why did you go to the States 42 times?
Hang on, didn't Ramsey say, to be fair, that he's got family over there? I think I vaguely remember that from previous shows. He says he's got family there.
Is he? I didn't know that. Okay. Here's the thing. I really do want to make this clear, because when you comment on this, and we can't not comment on it. Come on, it's one of the most seminal moments in history. Doesn't mean we're big Trump. It doesn't mean we're Trump supporters. Phil and I don't go, yay, hooray for Donald. It's not that at all. We're commenting on the overall situation. I really do want. I don't take any. What was that?
You see what happens? You see what happens when you mention the word Trump? You get interference.
Fake broadcast.
And I just say, allegedly.
Chrissy Holt, hi boys, Weather Girl reporting. I want to go Grand Ole Opry again. Will you pay my ticket? Let's think about that. No. Anyway, moving on. I have no desire to go to the Grand Ole Opry. I really don't like any of that. Country music, no, not for me. To be, Ramsey, I love your posturing. You're not going anywhere. Like if I go to the local shop and see Vimmel to get, to get some bread, that's my trip, right? Let's all take a reality check here. Wow, Martin Allen. Hi, Martin. The saying "only in America" is so appropriate right now, watching the election like Billy Smart Circus has come to town. Billy Smart Circus, where you meets the only in America. Circus of Blood.
Yeah, but I mean, you say only in America, but actually, I'm sorry, but I distinctly remember this kind of tension with the European Union vote as well. I mean, okay, fair enough. I didn't think it was going to go to civil war, but I'm still not.
No, I did. I still did.
I'm still not completely convinced that this country won't go that way eventually.
Because when America sneezes, we catch a cold. It's always been that way. Always been that way, man. Right. Yeah, of course it's a circus. Everything that we said would happen. And it's not that we're geniuses. It's just bloody obvious. Neither side's going to accept the result. Both sides are itching for a fight. And my friends are really, really nervous. All the shops are boarded up. What are they waiting for? They're not waiting for Christmas. They're waiting for it to kick off, and it's going to kick off.
Now, hang on a second. You say geniuses. Should that be genii?
Yeah, could be. Or
sure.
Would it be Aladdin? Or Ed Grossman. Elvis played the Grand Ole Opry several times. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we love Elvis. Love Elvis away.
Marriage, not going to necessarily advertise a certain chain of pubs, but yes, you're quite right. That's exactly, they were supposedly doing this offer of 99 pence a pint so as not to throw it away, but it's extraordinary how it has turned into a massive marketing campaign for them as well. Just saying.
I think you should read it out. I do think you should read it out.
Weatherspoons.
If you're uncomfortable, I'll read it out.
No, I don't mind. Don't bother me. Just wish they'd pay me. But Weatherspoons in Croydon is absolutely heaving today, packed to the rafters. Lockdown from tomorrow. So what have Weatherspoons done? They're showing concern for the health of their customers, or in desperate attempt to cash in, they have reduced the pint of ale to 99 pence so they don't have to throw it away. Honestly, Paul, I'm sorry, you might not like this. I don't blame them. Seriously, for goodness sake, all of these pubs that have spent God knows, and restaurants who spent heaven knows how much money becoming, in inverted commas, COVID safe, and they're all being told to shut again. I don't blame them, honestly. Sorry.
I can't really take umbrage with them, Paul, because if they've got that stuff and they're going to throw it down the drain
again,
right, they might as well just sell it. What's the problem? The problem, I suppose, what you're saying is, it's crammed and now there's no social distancing. I guess that's the point you're making, right, Paul?
Which, for the way, he's absolutely right. But that's kind of down to the individuals who are choosing not to socially distance.
If they're going to go there, they're going to go there. You can't fix stupid. You can't fix stupid. I was in town yesterday, and it was heaving. It was heaving. Unbelievable. And if I ever meet Sadiq Khan or anybody from TfL, please do not let me have any sharp objects or baseball bats in it. What he has done to London is, in my view, verging on the criminal.
And what's this?
Absolutely verging on the criminal.
Have you heard the latest thing? Moving out of City Hall now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I watched the whole thing about that. You know, we've got a purpose-built multi-million-pound building for the London Assembly, which is down by Tower Bridge, which I go over nearly every day. And for me, it's the working bridge. And the idea of the design, it's kind of like a huge glass egg, really, in a sort of way, is to show the transparency of government. It's all glass. No, he's not happy with that. He wants to move the whole thing.
He doesn't want to move City Hall. He just wants to move the operation. Everyone.
No, he's not going to physically move the building. It's not a Terry Pratchett. He's not going to move the building.
You laugh. You laugh. There is a report that from this week from a group of engineers, structural engineers in China, who have actually managed to build a load of robotic legs, them underneath a 7,500 ton school building, and have moved the structure 62 meters to its new location. Rather than demolish it and rebuild it, they've moved it. How incredible is that?
Oh, yeah. Well,
so there you go.
There's a film that I lasted about 10 minutes where London is a big machine and is moving and eating up other towns. Hello, everyone. I've emerged from my crypt. There we go. Ed Grossman, 99p a pint. 99 for a pint of beer. Da, 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 where the spoons. 99 a pint saves them from throwing it away. Very cheap PR stunt. Well, you know, why throw it away? Give it, sell it. Let people enjoy themselves for more lockdown.
Can I ask a favor? I know we've sort of moved on a bit from the American discussion, haven't we? A little bit.
Really? No, we can get that. I blame Paul Claridge.
Oh, okay.
Him and his lad are constantly getting beaten up. That's why he gets beaten up.
The only reason I was going to ask is whether or not if we could just go back to, oh, that's so much better. There we go, the poppies. Oh, isn't that nice?
Well, no, not really. I was kind of I'm kind of liking that.
He's loving the USA. We'll stick with USA today then.
It's a great flag. It's a great flag. Interesting stuff. Here's a thing. I was having a Zoom conference first thing this morning, and as you do. What's the matter? What are you doing now? Why are you doing that?
It's
you're ridiculous. What are you doing? You can't sit there in dark glasses. It looks ridiculous. You're Stevie Wonder now. More. Right. Anyway. All right.
Terrified.
I got some questions for everybody that I would like. Chrissy Holt, you like Dolly Parton? I do like Dolly Parton. She's a wonderful singer and writer, and she's the biggest country star ever. Can't argue with that. I just kind of don't know like the lyrics. Oh, my pickup truck broke down. My dog's just died. The crops have packed up in my field. My wife just walked off with my best friend. That's kind of every country song you're ever going to hear. Anywho, Chrissy Holt, prefer poppies. Oh, God, Penny Horner. Get that. But you're not the boss of us. No, you're not the boss of us, Penny Horner. Keep it overruled. Overruled.
You speak for yourself. I'm listening to Penny. There we go. Right. Anyway.
You cave in. You're like chocolate in a hot day. I don't care. Doesn't scare me. Little face.
He's only being like this, Penny, because frankly, he's now perfectly aware that lockdown is imminent. So there's no danger for the next one.
No, you're not coming around here. I like the flag. I love that flag. Martin Allen, Hope Green King does the same for today. 89p per pint. Last time we had that was 1984. That's a rollback. Every little helps. I don't drink.
That's the other one.
Do you know I've never had a pint of beer in my life?
Oh, no, me neither. It's just revolting. Now, I don't...
Warm beer. I don't understand. I've never had a pint of beer, like from in my life, ever. Not once. Didn't realize you were half a Yank.
He gets called something very similar.
Well, very close, Pen. Very, very close. Haven't you got about 28 million shows you're putting on? Shush. You got something to do. She's the busiest woman in the world. What they've only done at the German Street Theatre has been brilliant. And Penny has been working like 14 hours a day to keep arts going. And I, as much as we take the piss out of each other, I salute her for that.
No, we need an update. Penny, how's the redecoration going? You must tell us. Anyway, I wanted to sort of just say, in light of what you were saying just now about the whole pint of beer thing, I agree. Never, ever have I gone into a public house and ordered a pint of beer. But I have to tell you, stout is another subject. I
like stout.
Do enjoy a good pint of stout.
All right, very quickly. God, this is Guinness or Murphy's?
Right. How's the decoration going, Penny? All okay?
Yeah, it's going really great. Bye. I've got to go. Suddenly I'm busy.
Thank you for that, Penny. Your support and your loyalty is much appreciated.
Yeah, just great. Right. Big question of the day: not Trump or Pence, Guinness or Murphy's?
Oh, Guinness all the way.
Murphy's is we've never tried. Nothing like a pint of beer in a country pub with a pie on the side. Is that a euphemism? If that's a euphemism, I'm up for that.
Ramsey, I'm sorry, you got to be careful. You're losing your heritage. You're going too anglicized for my liking.
This is worrying. This is worrying. You know, yeah. I'm not a big country pubs and
Doom Bar. Really?
Yeah, Doom Bar's great. Oh, Doom Bar's good. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Doom Bar. With you there, fella. I don't like women drinking pints. Where's this going, for Christ's sake? Murphy's is better than Guinness. Well, Chrissy, you're not wrong. I think Murphy's is fantastic. It's smoother. It's smooth. Now I need a Murphy's. Jeez.
Can I just say,
I've got to finish this show, go straight into another Zoom call. I haven't got time.
Can I just, in all seriousness, all of this talk of alcohol, we obviously at Men's Radio only ever encourage anyone to drinkaware.org, please. But yes, other than that, absolutely enjoy.
Or alternatively, drink yourself stupid till lockdown's finished. Sam Monroe, I need alcohol. Do
you want to talk about this?
Really? The only thing I have in common with David Cameron, says Ramsey Weimer-Sullivan, apart from your name, which is really Ramsey Cameron. I think the rest of it's just showbiz.
Oh my, that would be amazing. We'd shorten it to Ram Cam.
How did you think of that? And then when he came on screen, you could just say the Ram Cam, and then we'd see him. Loving it. All right, here's a question for everybody. It's a moral question. No, I'm changing the subject. It's a moral question.
Oh,
right, a moral question. The result, idiot. The verdict of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case came out. And the Sun won the case in the High Court, and Johnny Depp was found, they didn't believe him, and they believed Amber Heard. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. At the center of it was a lot of violence. Wife beating, call it what you will. I call it violence. Would you go to see a Johnny Depp film again? How much are you able? I've been thinking about this a lot. Can you ever divorce, no pun intended, the artist from the real person? Now, I'm just going to come and say immediately, I could never listen to a Gary Glitter song again because I'd want to punch the radio. Even though when the soundtrack, the musical soundtrack came up in Joker, the film, it was incredibly effective. Some people moaned about it. You couldn't hear that revolting monster singing, which is another thing. Can you divorce the artist as the person, like Johnny Depp, massive druggie, alcoholic, apparently very violent, from the actor? Would you do it? Ramsey's on fire today. Would you like to read out his comment? I'm just curious how we stand on this. If it's a moral debate or it's a human debate or how we feel about it. Would you like to read out?
I would love to.
Yeah,
Ramsey says Johnny Depp's reputation has been rightly trashed.
Yeah.
Sean Connery knocked his first wife about and had glowing eulogies.
Yeah, Ramsey's absolutely right. Sean Connery was not a nice man. Sorry. I'm sorry. He was a fantastic actor, the best Bond, he was everything you'd want him to be.
No. Roger Moore definitely trumped him.
It's an age thing. I think that is an age thing. It's like my kids can't stand the Roger Moore Bonds. They think it's just pure cheese. They think it's absolute cheese. I love Roger Moore as Bond. I like them all. I even like George Lazenby. It's a much maligned film.
Anyway, it's been a lovely show today. Thanks very much.
You going? Oh, okay, fine, great. May I ask this question? Naked Gun movies with O.J. Simpson. I know when you see that, they're kind of. I mean, I love the Naked Gun movies, and of course, some of the lines in the retrospect of it all. The retrospect, you think, yes, you murdering bastard. How can you do that? Ed Grossman. Yes. Would you like to read this?
Go for it. Or you start. You don't know. Don't worry about me. I will talk. It's all good.
Yes, I would see a film of Depp. Ed, have you ever seen The Ninth Gate? Oh my God, it's a Roman Polanski film. So you got double whammy, if you like. Ninth Gate, one of my favorite films of all time. He's an actor, so I can divorce the person. That said, I can. Oh, Ed, so with you. I can no longer listen to Pink Floyd. I suppose I'm a hypocrite. No, I don't. If you're a hypocrite, me too, because I won't have anything to do with Pink Floyd.
No, do you know what?
How much I loathe that ghastly, awful man.
But do you know what? I hear what you're saying, but I actually think that the biggest problem we've got here is less about whether or not we as individuals can, quote, divorce ourselves from what we see our so-called heroes do. But my bigger concern is that you have all of these people who are in the limelight, who are given stardom, who behave in a really unacceptable way that would not be allowed in civilized society in any other way, shape, or form. You'd be thrown in prison if it was anyone else. And yet we see these people that are idolized by millions around the world behaving in such a way, and it ultimately could encourage others. And that's what concerns me a hell of a lot more, whether or not we go and sit in the cinema again watching one of their films. I don't care about that. I care about the influence they have on people.
Well, it's really interesting. And in this instance, I have to say that although I've been in the business for many years, Phil has been much more at the front end. And I'll explain why he has encountered much more rudeness than I have, because Phil is not seen in his other life as a presenter. He's seen as a producer. And therefore, if you're a horrible person, you think, well, I don't need to be nice to the producer because the cameras aren't on and the mic's not on. So I don't give a shit how I treat him. I can treat him like a piece of garbage. And then the cameras and the mics come on. Hi, everybody. And, the other person, Phil sees the real person. Now, because I've always presented, although I've written for a lot of these, when you're writing for them, it's different because they need you, because otherwise they stand there. They've got nothing to say. So they're slightly more polite, I find. But because I've always presented, I haven't been encountered. I've had some horrible interviews. I have to stop some. Don't want to say anybody. Trini and Susanna. But they normally are pretty polite. Phil sees them as they are, and that's why he's got much more skin in the game, I would say, than I have. Roger Waters, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're saying with Ed Grossman. I didn't even want to say his name, Lloyd Ski. I didn't even want to say his name. That's how much I hate that man. I don't mean dislike. I mean hate. And you see, now this is another thing. I was asked on another radio station when Michael Jackson died, and they said, and Ramsey is saying, I still listen to Michael Jackson, and that's because I love Toto, who played on his records. We make judgments like this every day. Yeah, because somebody said, why we play? Why it was an interesting question. Why? And it was a moral question as well. Why are we playing Michael Jackson records, but we won't play Gary Glitter records? Oh, Ed, don't be Ed. Come on, what's the issue with Michael Jackson? What do you think? You didn't like his clothes? He wore one glove. What do you think the issue with Michael Jackson was? Come on, stop it, God. Was he a musical genius? Absolutely. One of the greatest performers of all time, without doubt. Brilliant writer, brilliant performer, dancer, singer, incredible. Was he nuts? Yeah.
Look, do you know, I do think that a lot of these individuals are given, unfortunately, the carte blanche to behave the way they want. And for me, the worst example, the absolute worst example, without doubt, was when I feel like this is common knowledge, so I don't think I'm announcing anything that shouldn't be announced. Do you remember that or do you know the reason why Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May left Top Gear? Does everyone remember the reason?
Yeah, it was punching the producer in the face because after the end of a very long day, Clarkson wanted some hot food. The producer only managed to get cold food, so he just punched him in the face. Unacceptable. Of course, it's unacceptable. Obviously.
Yeah. So here's my issue: is that Jeremy Clarkson, who I happen to think, for the record, is a very good broadcaster. I actually think he's very good at what he does.
Yes, I think he's excellent at what he does.
But the fact that he went on to punch, physically abuse one of his producers, then, okay, he left Top Gear. Arguably at the time, the absolute height of his success, the most successful brand on the BBC, and he had to walk away from it. The reason why Richard Hammond and James May left, by the way, is that they were not prepared to carry on without Jeremy Clarkson.
It was a brilliant decision, and their decision was absolutely right, because apart from Chris Harris, Top Gear is unwatchable. I can't watch it.
I know.
I admire Chris Harris. Chris Harris really knows what he's doing, and the other two, I can't watch.
I can't watch Top Gear at all.
Well, I have my late mum presenting it.
And they've now gone, obviously, to present the Amazon Prime show, The Grand Tour.
Great. Oh, fabulous show.
But also, he's gone on to present other things like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And the way I look at it is that all he has been given for punching that producer is a step up in his career. Now, some people are going to crack me and say, oh, no, but he's left the most successful show on the BBC. No. Sure. The pay rise, okay? Believe me, he's not getting the same fee at Amazon that he was getting at the BBC. None of them are. They would have been paid a hell of a lot more because Amazon would have wanted to secure them.
They paid them a fortune. Let's not be silly. I mean, absolute fortune, 6 figures. Easy.
What really annoys me is that is the sick and twisted way in which
I don't feel so. This is really difficult. It's like the moral maze, isn't it? These are things that, because they all affect your mental attitude. You see, I adore Jeremy Clarkson as a broadcaster. I love his writing, his books. I think he's a very talented man, and I'm a big fan of Hammond and May. And bizarrely, inside scoop, I always call her my little cousin, but my little cousin is a professional makeup artist. She does all the makeup for the Grand Tour, and they're lovely. And she says they're really, really nice because, again, when you're at that level, somebody does your makeup. If you're horrible, you won't be nice to them. And she says they're just really, really nice, always friendly. And, just the three of them are really nice guys. And that's from the horse's mouth. It is. So the other side of it, Phil, is all right, let me ask you this. God forbid, say you're at the BBC or talk radio, right? And you have a falling out, and you've had falling outs there, and somebody assaulted you. Then they came up and apologized profusely. Would you accept their apology?
Oh, yeah, or
would you walk out?
Back at me. Very good. Okay, look, I don't think that I could just graciously accept it because this is very awkward because obviously, thank God, it hasn't happened to me.
Yeah,
but if it had, but if I know it's a big shock to a lot of people.
How he's got away with it, I don't know.
A lot of people have said to me, "Have you not been hit before?"
I know. We're going to come to your point in a minute, Sen. It's a good point.
The reason why that I don't know how I would react is because you've got to think of the psychological trauma that comes with being attacked like that. And I would imagine if you're physically punched by somebody, that makes you lose confidence to the point where actually you're almost worried to talk to people. And you've got to think of the impact that would have, because in a job where, frankly, I can't afford to be afraid to talk to people, it could really actually damage my ability to do the job in the first place. And subsequently, could it lose me some income? So you've got to think of it like that. And whether or not it's a case of just, oh, I'm so sorry I acted like a fool for hitting you, I don't think it's as easy as that, because I think you've got to think of whether or not it's actually seriously affects you to the degree where you're starting to lose your salary. And in which case, I would expect it to be made up somehow.
The guy who got punched did get a big payout. I think he got about 100 grand.
Can we be very clear on this? He got paid to shut up about it and not press charges. Okay. I'm sorry. I know this comes as a shock to people, but that's what it was.
I fully accept that. So he got 100 grand. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not. And of course, was Clarkson wrong? Totally wrong. Had it been a very long day? Undoubtedly so. And when you're really very, very, I'm not making excuses, but we've all done stuff in our personal lives. We've all done stuff, and you think, oh, I was a complete arse. And then I'll phone somebody else. Oh, I was an arse. I'm so sorry. I was really tired, or it was unacceptable. I'm sorry. And they can accept my apology or not. But it's Phil Jones. Good point. Hi, Phil. Mental wounds take a lot longer than physical. Yeah, they physical wounds eventually, please God, heal up, and mental wounds don't always to heal. So true, says Paul Claridge, a man who goes up a ladder for his life and gets beaten up by Eastern European drug gangs. It's not much of a career, really, Paul. We've got to talk about it now. Here's Sen Monroe. Mark Wahlberg was charged with attempted murder. Jesus. Pleaded guilty. I didn't know about this. Pleaded guilty to felony assault. Was sentenced to 2 years in jail, but only served 45 days of his sentence. Yesterday, I went out for a cigar smoke with my film producer buddy, safely distanced, of course. I wanted to kind of get in under the wire. And we were talking about this, not about Mark Wahlberg. I didn't know that story, Sen. If you know more about it, phone in, please do. And the point was, you can get away with anything if you're making people enough money. And it's as brutal and as naked and as disgusting as that. If you are making people enough money, they will circle the wagons and they will protect you. And you see it time and time and time again. You see it all the time. If you're a real cash cow, you will be protected. And if you're not, they'll throw you under the bus in a heartbeat. Which makes what happened to Caroline Flack even more tragic. Because there is a prime example of somebody suffering with their mental health and was not protected. And that's a rare exception, because she was hugely popular for it wasn't my cup of tea. I'm not going to pretend, all that Love Island stuff, etc. But she won, the Strictly Come Dancing. She hosted Love Island, was hugely popular with that, and she was pretty much at the top of her game. That's a tragedy. But you see other people that we see on our screens all the freaking time, who are horrible people, who have done terrible things. Ka-ching, they will be protected. And you know the names. Don't need to know, not need to go through it. Martin Allen, how many times have we all been pushed to the limit and then we snap? That's what happened to Clarkson, to that fellow, got a right hander. Kind of, yeah. We get pushed to the. It's not excuse. Look, there's no excuse for violence. It's as simple as that. Somebody hits the woman, there is no excuse. There's no excuse.
Martin, my suggestion, put it another way, okay? That if someone's defense for murder, I'm being deadly serious, was snapped. Come on, really? We've all been pushed to the limit.
Yeah, that's why they have crimes of passion.
The number of times I've been pushed to the limits, and believe me, there have been quite a few. And in a million years, it wouldn't even cross my mind to swipe someone. Honestly, just doesn't even enter my head. I don't think like that.
It's not part of our It's not part of our makeup. It's not part of our DNA. But as this film producer, my mate, was saying, if you can get away with anything as long as you're making enough money for the people who are going to protect you. Leslie Grantham, the late Leslie Grantham, I worked with him. I wrote a corporate for him. Leslie Grantham is another one. Yes, Leslie Grantham was done for murder when he was in the army. Murder of a taxi driver in Germany, but he served time. Lots of famous. He served 10 years for murder. Yes, indeed. Yes, he did. But he served his sentence. So should we throw him to the curb, or should we say you've served your sentence, handed down by what are you pulling a face for?
Well, because my feelings on that are very strong. And actually, yeah, okay, people can make mistakes, but come on, making a mistake is forgetting you've made an arrangement to meet somebody, not killing somebody. That's not a mistake. That's abhorrent.
You don't believe in redemption. I'm not talking about God redemption. I've given up on that a billion years ago. Do you not believe in redemption?
Limelight, yeah, but if you put somebody in the limelight who has openly sort of been convicted of carrying out such a heinous crime, to me, ridiculous.
What do you want him to do?
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, but Phil, where do you draw the line? All right, let's just take Leslie Grantham as an example. He did murder somebody when he was very, very young in Germany. Okay. And he served 10 years in jail. Now, you can say, right, this man should never be on television. We can't make him as Dirty Dan. We can't make him fair. What would you like him to do? Where do you draw the line? Would you allow him to be a road sweeper? Would you allow him to stack shelves in Aldi? Would you allow him to be a chartered accountant? Where would you say, okay, you've served your penalty. You've come out of jail. You've served your sentence.
Yeah.
Where's he allowed to go in the world of Phil?
It's very simple. He can do whatever the hell he wants, but not as long as it is not in the public eye. Because I do not think you should be idolizing. And just for the record, I think exactly the same of any politician who's just as guilty of any sort of crime. And obviously I don't mean that particular crime, but you know what I mean. The way I look at it is that you need to look at the way that someone has behaved.
Yeah.
They have done something that is as serious as murder. I mean, for goodness sake, I shouldn't even have to try and justify this. Don't put them in the public eye and then have other people idolize them, because you know that they are likely, or they're susceptible to people becoming obsessed by them, looking into their lives and thinking, oh, okay, if he's done it, then maybe I can. Very long shot. I appreciate it. But the point is that they are still being public.
I mean, he's been dead for many years, but he never came on TV and said, "Hey, gang, here's an idea. If you're bored on a Thursday, go and murder somebody." He never said that. He wasn't an advocate for murder, was he?
I'm not saying he's an advocate for murder, but what I am saying is that what it is teaching people is, look, you can commit murder, serve your sentence, and you too could be idolized. It's exactly the same way that I abhor the way that they're idolizing this George Floyd chap. I'm very, very sorry for what happened to him, in the sense that I don't believe the police had any right whatsoever to extinguish his life. None whatsoever. But do not idolize the criminals. That's what I can't stand. That I really, really believe that, because I don't think people realize the power that people in the limelight have to influence others. That's why I can't stand it, even on a trivial level. When you've got something like The Only Way is Essex, when you've got people who are thicker than planks put together, who are
that's insulting to planks.
Okay, thicker than planks are put together, right?
Yeah.
They're in the limelight and people idolize them. And what happens with that is they think, oh, I don't need to work hard. I don't need to study at school. I don't need to aim to be the best I can be in life. It's fine. If I just put on some sort of cheap looking outfit and then put myself in front of a camera on YouTube,
I look like a tank-fed tart, and I'm going to be paid a fortune.
It's absolutely wrong. Seriously, it's about influencing others, and it terrifies the hell out of me, because all you are doing
it infuriates me.
You are
furious
to others. This is okay to behave in exactly the same way that this person's done. Look, and we'll put them out to the masses and demonstrate that to you by sort of making them a star. It makes me sick.
It does make me sick as well. Ramsey says, Ramsey Y. Masalam, lots of famous people aren't nice. You think? There's a website where aircrew, this is famous, where aircrew shared tales of people, celebs, and what they were like. Cilla Black. British Airways staff would dread if Cilla Black was on their flight. Unbelievable.
And may I just say,
now Ellen Janelle. Well, I've never been an Ellen fan. I don't know. Something I just wasn't. I don't get it. I've watched hundreds of her shows. I still don't, because I'm quite interested in some of the guests. I'm not interested in her at all. I just don't get it. She's getting a lot of bad publicity. Yeah. Yep. Right. What were you saying? What are you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say if anyone.
Oh, Claridge. Whoa. Yeah, man. You see, this is why it's never Paul. You see, this is such an interesting thing. It's never black and white. The trouble with the media is they try and make everything easy. You got to be for this, or you got to be for that. You got to be on one side. You got to be. It doesn't work like that. So Paul Claridge's point about we're talking about redemption. What about Jerry Adams and Martin McGuinness? Well, I don't want my kneecaps blown off. I think I'll avoid answering that question. That's my answer.
I strongly suspect, to be fair, that Martin McGuinness isn't going to pose much of a threat to you at the moment. But he died in 2017.
And Jerry Adams still floating about. Yeah, there we go. I wonder, Sam Monroe, I wonder what level of criminal record one draws the line regarding what is acceptable to allow someone on TV or film. So if you're a known cokehead off your face and you're uncontrollable, and yet you're probably one of the most popular presenters on television, family entertainers, I don't know. What do you do?
Look,
what do you do?
Might I suggest?
Here's the thing, Phil. Does it bother us? What people do, then you say, well, what people do in their private lives is none of our concern. Are they entertaining or they're not entertaining? Do I like their films? Do I like their television shows? It's all down to personal taste, isn't it?
Look, my theory is very simple. If someone breaks the law, don't put them out on television and don't allow them to continue on television. And I'm sorry, but there have been so many examples of that. People who have openly broken the law, and not only have they got away without being charged for it, some of them have got pay rises, as I've explained already. Some carry on regardless, without taking a hit, without taking any punishment whatsoever. It makes me sick. I'm sorry. How on earth is it possible that someone and with the greatest amount of respect, because I don't actually believe that Declan Donnelly deserves to suffer for this, because actually I think he's a very nice chap and clearly.
They're both, do you know what? They're actually, I'm going to be very careful. They're both very nice.
I'm sure they're very nice.
Declan they're charming. I did panto with his then girlfriend, so I saw him all the time in the theatre, and he was a lovely fellow.
I'm sure he is, but I'm sorry, but Anne McPartlin, openly done for taking drugs, drug driving, I think is another charge as well. Whatever the heck it is, it's not excusable. And it sure as hell is not an excuse to say, oh, well, he's ITV's best paid stars and most loved star, therefore let's keep him on screen. What? No. Any other person would be charged. And I find it extraordinary. Absolutely unbelievable that just because someone's in the limelight, it suddenly gives them carte blanche to behave the way they want. And it is so wrong, because all it is doing is influencing others to think, okay, well, maybe I'll get off lightly as well.
And is his own worst enemy. And it's sad.
Maybe.
Because he is. He's got he's got absolutely everything. And sometimes I guess when you have a dream and, and fate just says you're going to have everything you've ever wanted, boom, maybe you just can't deal with it. I'm not making excuses.
And I know that there are going to be people who are saying I should be more sympathetic to the situation. May I stress very, very clearly, I am totally sympathetic towards the situation. And the fact that he was even put back on television clearly before he was ready, that goes to show how brutal the industry is. It's
about money.
He should never have been put back on screen until he was given the proper help he was needed. And I'm sorry, I know there's no one from ITV here to answer for themselves, but let me make this very clear. If ITV were genuinely that worried about getting him back on screen as quickly as possible, and I don't know if they did this or not, I very much hope they did. Why didn't they use some of the money that they've clearly got for his salary to one side to actually offer him some of the best and finest care there is around initially? Before putting him back on screen, I hope they did. I assume.
Look, Phil, we've both been in the game long enough, and a lot of the people who are commenting are in the industry as well. You know that they're going to protect, in many, many ways, their stars. Ant and Dec are the biggest television stars and have been for years, and they will be protected fully because, on the other hand, they bring joy to millions of people. And Essex Adventure says quite rightly, it doesn't put them above the law. Absolutely.
That's more the point that I'm making. Okay.
Absolutely.
That is far more the point.
Absolutely right. So it's not very helpful to come back full circle when the president of the United States, the most powerful man on the planet, says, I could stand on Fifth Avenue, shoot someone in the head, and they'd still love me. How can you say that? God almighty, unless you're a Corbyn. How could you possibly say that?
Let me be very, very clear, by the way, before anyone starts getting too upset. Right? Two things. Number one, it's not that I'm not being empathetic or sympathetic towards, or I can't be empathetic, thank God, but I'm not being sympathetic towards someone's situation, okay? Clearly he was driven to a very, very, very bad, I hate the cliche, but clearly driven to a very bad place, which is why he went down that route in the first place. And I very, very much hope.
Who are we talking about?
Sorry, I'm talking about Admiral Parlin here, for example. So I really, really do hope that he was looked after in the way he deserved to be. And it also, let me stress very clearly, that I'm most certainly not excusing politicians here either. I think it's anybody who is out there in the limelight, they should be setting an example to society to behave in a certain way. And it's just as
well, I feel much stronger about politicians than I do about people on telly, because people on telly, you can like them or not like them. You can watch them, not watch them. Ramsey says, I worked at the House of Commons for a few years. That was an eye-opener. Now, these are the people who govern us. These are the people who make the law. These are the people that we have to obey. Otherwise, there are consequences. Therefore, they should, like Caesar's wife, be completely above suspicion and completely above reproach. It's a cesspit. It's a cesspit. I have no respect for politicians whatsoever, which is why we're in such a mess. Ed Grossman says, Phil, Ant is a big asset. He's being looked after. He's advertising a bank that uses his name. Yeah, of course. They're the biggest stars on television. They're absolutely ginormous. They're ginormous. There's nobody else really like them. And that's why, of course, they're being protected, which is why I was shocked. And it goes right to the heart of men's radio and women's radio that Caroline Flack was just left to hang out to dry. I don't understand why she wasn't looked after. I don't understand it. It is. I never met her. I didn't know her. I didn't follow her in the tabloids. But she was young. She had everything ahead of her. She was talented. She had a stage background and all the rest of it. She was talented. She wasn't like these reality morons. I don't understand why she wasn't protected and looked after and cared for. Care is the word we're looking for.
I'm so pleased that the campaign Be Kind lasted. Oh, wait. So, goes to show.
This is it comes back to when we had the American flag up before. And it comes up to the fact of division. And that we are being forced, whether you want it or whether you don't want it, to make choices and pick a side. You have to pick a side. Not everybody wants to pick a side. It's a little bit like pick and mix in the old Walrus, if you remember that. I'll have a little bit of that because I agree with that. No, I don't like that. I like, life is not black and white. There are shades of gray. Not everything is that simple. But we're being forced to pick a side. Because if you're not for one, you've got to be against the other. And so the whole notion of be kind, which is lovely. Of course, if we were kinder to each other, then if it is the law to wear a mask, it would be kind to your fellow citizens to wear the freaking mask. That's the first step of being kind, not just looking after yourself. Think about other people. We're not asking for a lot, but when you have that's my civil rights, my human right, all this crap. Well, it's just, how can you be kind? How can you be? You could argue that TV producers have a bigger duty of care for the reality morons than they do for well-paid TV professionals who understand what they're getting into. Absolutely right. These people have no idea what they're getting into, none at all.
But actually, you know what? That kind of highlights my point. Is that what would have happened is the reality stars, as you call them. I mean, never before have two words been so misused. Reality, yeah, right. Stars.
Celebrity has about as much. I mean, my dog is more celebrity than they do.
Reality, yeah, right. Stars, anything but. The point is that if you have those individuals who have seen someone else on the screen who is famous and thought, I would love to do that, then yeah, you're absolutely right. 100. I can't argue with that at all. Of course, they have a duty of care to those individuals who want to go down that route, and you only have to look. You only have to look at the way that what happened to poor Susan Boyle when she went on Britain's Got Talent. Now, to be fair to the producers of Britain's Got Talent, they could never have known how Susan Boyle would have just exploded into stardom the way she did. She went, in the true sense of the word, she really went viral in terms of how far and wide her audition was seen. And of course, she couldn't cope with the pressure that was suddenly thrust upon her from around the world. And who can blame her? And she was, for the record, given some of the most superb care, because apparently
she was. Yes, she was provided with someone who looked after her most of the time, and that went a little bit sideways. You know, she was a fragile person.
But the point is, there are so many examples of this, and where I think that we have to be so much better in society, and I know you hate the word society, but where I think we really have to be so much better behaved is we actually have to look at who we're putting in the limelight, why we're putting them there, how they'd cope with it. Don't just sort of look at it, and I'm as bad. You know, I work in an industry where suddenly we lock onto a story, and if it makes the headlines, well then, hey, do we go hell for leather? We go for that, and we want to speak to that individual wherever we can. But I just think it really sometimes.
Phil, all right, Phil, let me ask you.
Their welfare is needed to be taken into consideration.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot. You're producing for huge radio stations, huge, very influential radio stations. So here's a moral question for you. Yes, I've got time. If you knew that you could get somebody onto one of those talk shows, and you knew that they would be great value because they're going to shoot their mouth off, you also knew that they would probably destroy themselves, would you still get them on?
The truth is that we are all, and by the way, this is absolutely not not necessarily suggesting the way that my current employers behave.
No, all
radio stations, all television stations, we're all under the same banner. Ratings are king. And that's what it boils down to. So, of course, if you know that something is going to get you bigger ratings, i.e., a rather momentous moment that may well be at the detriment of someone vulnerable, then I hate to say it, then yes, of course, that's what's going to happen first. But that's why I say I'm absolutely not innocent of this. It's very simple. I think actually the attitudes across the board have to change from consumer demand for it, because that's where it would actually make the difference first and foremost. I totally and utterly understand why producers, including myself, would go for those particular types of individuals, is because if they're going to be the ratings winner, of course we're going to go for the ratings winner. Why wouldn't we? That's a no-brainer. That's what we do. But if you have a demand for it in society where they actually want to see those moments, and never mind if it's to the detriment, by the way, of the individual's health, then there's actually right and wrong on both sides here. Because I'm not suggesting the producers should book them just because people want to see it. But if people didn't want to see it, then producers wouldn't book it. Do you see what I mean?
Nothing has changed, and it's all summed up by 3 words: panem et circenses. Bread and circuses. It's how they run the Roman Empire. That's how they kept the population under the rule of their thumb. Bread and circuses. Give the people what they want. What do they want to see? The Colosseum, horrific spectacle. They bloody loved it. And it's no different from the Colosseum and people being thrown to the lions and huge fights and God knows what else, and slaughter of hundreds and hundreds of animals over a weekend, and people obviously, it's no different from a lot of reality TV. You're hoping for the car crash moment. If you're doing something like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, you don't want everyone saying, "Hi Phil, how are you? I'm good. Should we go into the make some campfire?" Yeah, let's. They want the rows. They want the fights. They want the bitchiness. They want it to be as confrontational as humanly possible. Of course they do. That's what they can edit out of 24 hours of incredibly boring television. They make 56 minutes or 55 minutes. They edit together.
But the problem is that's where the issue lies with so-called reality TV, is that unfortunately, if that's what makes the ratings winner, then regrettably, reality TV is poisonous to society. And I wholeheartedly believe shouldn't really be allowed. It shouldn't be content. I know people are going to think of me as nuts for saying this because it's some of the most popular television out there.
Popular and it's cheap to make. It's popular and it's cheap. And that's what it is. Now, I'm not getting Sen Monroe's point. Sen, George Michael. What about George Michael? What about George Michael? No, I'm serious. What about him?
He's probably talking about his behavior.
Which was what? Going on Hampstead Heath and having sex with random strangers. Does it affect you? Does it affect me? Were they consenting adults? Yes. Why do we care? So what?
As I say, as long as it's within the law. What?
Freddie Mercury. Well, Sen, I don't. What are you doing? Picking dead rock stars and picking gay dead rock stars, or what? What is your problem, David? What's the problem with David? I don't understand. What is the matter with you today? You're picking three of the biggest rock stars ever. You got David Bowie, genius. Freddie Mercury, genius. George Michael, in my opinion, not a genius, but very good. What is the point you're making? I mean, seriously, we've only got about 3 minutes. What I don't understand what point they all did dodgy stuff. Well, what? Sen, men having sex with other men who are consenting adults above the age of consent is not dodgy stuff. It's their choice because they're gay. That's not dodgy stuff. I'm serious. I'm at a loss here, man. I'm at a loss. I don't get it. Of course they did. They lived life like crazy lifestyles. Were they brilliant performers? Without doubt. Were they three of the best performers we've ever? Totally. Without doubt. Would I go and pay to see Keith Richards still? Yes, of course I would. How the hell is still alive? We don't know. You see, Ramsey's got a very good point. We've got time, yeah. TV producers hire Piers Morgan not for his towering intellect. Actually, he's very bright, oddly enough. Or his forensic technique. They have him on because he can generate a fight with anyone. Absolutely, of course he can.
Yeah, but the difference is generating a fight with someone is not breaking the law and not necessarily being a bad influence on others. That's my point. This is where my whole argument stems from. To me, I'm saying people who have openly and, dare I say, proudly in some cases broken the law. That's where I have a real issue with them being in the limelight. And as far as I know, I'm fully aware that some reality stars have not. And again, sorry, I use the word very loosely, but I'm very, very aware that some reality stars have not necessarily broken the law. They're just stupid. There's just no other way to describe it. They're just so.
Sen Monroe saying about the answer to those rock stars is Sen Monroe. I'm saying that doesn't stop me listening to their music. Absolutely, but I would not listen to Gary Glitter.
It doesn't stop me listening to their music, but Sen, it's not necessarily an equal argument. I don't mean to be rude because, I've got a lot of time and respect for you. But the truth is that if you're talking about stars who have, quote, done dodgy stuff that didn't necessarily sort of, fall in line with your way of life, that's not quite the same as breaking the law. If they've broken the law, I apologize. I didn't realize they have. And if they're actually, George Michael, I think, was arrested once or twice. So absolutely.
He drove his Range Rover into the snappy snaps in Hampstead.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was true.
Biggest crime in the world, is it? When you consider what's going on in the world.
Of it, but anyway, right. On that note, I think that we need to return on Friday. We'll see you at 11 o'clock for the 3-hour program. Good Lord, it's the 3-hour show already. Good gracious.
I might have another new hairdo by then. I don't know. I just got bored with my face.
Putting it out there. See you Friday at 11. Bye, everyone. Thank you.